and people just don't have their eye on the ball. They're too busy trying to generate a lead and sell a job and produce a job, and they don't really focus on the most important part of it is, which is, you know, being profitable and knowing the price structure you got to sell at to be profitable.
This is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast, brought to you by G4 Marketing. Interviews with today's top home improvement entrepreneurs about marketing, sales, money, mindset, and lifestyle. Now, here's your host, Brian Kaskavalcian.
Okay, so for everybody that is out there, Charlie's been on the podcast a number of times. If you haven't done so already, you could go to Amazon. For those that are watching on YouTube, I'm holding up Charlie's books. You can go to Amazon and get Charlie's new books. One is called Lessons Learned. I'm going to ask him some questions about lessons learned today. Lessons Learned, My Journey from Contractor to Businessman. So if you just go type, just go Charlie Gindele, Gindele in Amazon, he will be not very hard to find. The other book is called Build It to Last. That is Charlie's memoir, and it's got his beautiful head on the cover of the book. And this is his memoir, and it's filled with just great Charlie's great storyteller. And so this book is the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And so both of these are awesome. And Charlie is kind of retired now, but working with some contractors across the country. Any updates on anything new you've discovered, without naming names, of course? But it's kind of interesting, the different things you discover working with different owners.
Yeah, a little update. I talked in the past about a lot of people putting all or most of their marketing dollars into internet and social media and what I call kind of low-hanging fruit stuff you definitely have to do. But a lot of people, that's all they're doing. They've morphed into, you work with a company and they manage your pay-per-click and they do SEO and you write them a check once a month or you give them a credit card and all. And a lot of the companies that I've been working with, have all pretty much done that, but they pulled back on a lot of the other traditional marketing and they're seeing a real downturn in lead flow. And a couple of them that I've been working with have kind of taken my admonishments and they're diversifying their marketing portfolio and doing some direct mail and doing some events and doing other more proactive type of things, and they're actually seeing an uptick in lead flow.
Yeah,
it's a little more work involved, and a lot of people have been lulled into you kind of put your marketing on autopilot, but the reality of it is that this other stuff works. I mean, one company I've been working with really took to heart this, what I call mining your database, and reaching out to people in your database. And they've been having some pretty significant success with that. When you think about it, we generate leads, names, and phone numbers all the time. Sometimes people call in, they want a price or they want a catalog or they want some general information, but they don't book an appointment. And with most companies, that stuff just vaporizes, it goes away, right?
yeah.
Instead of capturing that data, putting it into a database and assigning a recontact date, so companies are doing that and they're generating appointments in business. Sometimes it's months later. Then there's appointments, so we schedule an appointment and then the appointment cancels before we run it, or the people aren't home or whatever. And again, do we stay on top of that? Do we manage that, or we just let that go away? Of course, then there's ones that we go out and we meet with them, but maybe for some reason we don't give them a demo. Maybe we run out of time, or maybe the complete buying party is not there. What are we doing to nurture those to get them back so we can get an appointment? And then, of course, there's the people that we do give a price to, and then they'll buy. And, we just kind of move on, and do we nurture that? Do we stay in touch with them? And then the fifth one really is people that do buy from us. But most of the people that buy from us don't buy everything that we have to sell, or, or we have other products or services to offer, and nurturing those customers to bring continual business. I mean, that from the 5 and the 1 program. But anyway,
5. One customer to 5.
1 and the 5.
One customer to 5.
That's right. I'm sorry.
That's your G4 marketing.
But anyway, so this nurturing the database is a tremendous tool, and if people understand it and do it consistently, diligently, and they persevere, they'll generate a lot of appointments and a lot of business for leads that they've already paid for. Some of these leads they paid for 2-3 years ago, and now the people come back today. There's this belief that when we do marketing and advertising, like, our marketing message is going to hit the person exactly at the right time when they're in the buying cycle to say, yeah. But the reality of it is that doesn't happen. So what do we do, to stay in touch with them? What do we do to nurture them? What do we do to remain top of mind so that, when they're ready, we're the company they think of? So anyway, so I've had some success with people working on that.
Well, and it's interesting because what you were talking about, and you and I have talked about this a lot, and it's sloppiness. I hate to say it. I hate to put it out there because we're all guilty of it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that my business operates perfectly and every little thing is thought through and accounted for, but I would like to believe the level of sloppiness is low. But your whole book, I mean, if we look at lessons 1 through 10, the underlying current, obviously we won't say it. And because this is not the main podcast, and, maybe it's just a conversation between you and me, but one of the things you and I notice a lot in businesses is just the sloppiness. Perfect example. The other day, Addie's got in her mind that she wants a generator. It's hurricane season's coming. She wants to get a generator. I don't want it. She wants it. And of course, who makes all the decisions in the house? I could say, I don't want something, from here to, whatever. So she reaches out to a couple of companies. One finally calls her back. The sloppiness of that phone call, she had it on speaker. I'm listening to this call. The sloppiness of that call was unbelievable to me. And what it led to, the way that they handled that call, it was all going to come down to the price, because there was no question being asked of, well, why are you calling now? What got you interested in whatever the solution is? What is the problem that you have right now that you're thinking about getting? And for us, it was a generator. For you, it's windows. For someone else, it's roofing. But there's no questions being asked. There was no value being built in the appointment. It was all about, well, we can come and give you an estimate and we'll be there between this time and that time. And I'm like, this is a big sale. And that's how you're handling it? Sloppy. And it's going to all come down to price. They're going to talk about in the office, they're going to talk about, well, why didn't we make money this month, this quarter, this year? Why did the leads suck? And it's all it is just being flippin' sloppy.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, I think, digging into that, I think the reasons why that happens is, number one, I think a lot of business owners are detached from that part of their business.
Yeah.
They're too busy doing other stuff. And if you think about it, not in all cases, but in many cases, that inbound phone call, that inbound lead, that a potential inbound sale is handled by, a clerical type person that really has little or no training. And, we almost think it's like common sense. You should know what to do. But, as they say, the only thing common about common sense is it's not very common these days,
Right.
And so there's no scripts, there's no real measuring, tracking, and
Training, role
training,
playing,
listening to
listening.
phone calls, coaching. I mean, and it's kind of the moment of truth, when our marketing dollars either get redeemed or not, and so the reality of it is, because there's a lot of inefficiency and ineffectiveness there, people keep spending more money on leads, and eventually, yeah, we book appointments and we sell some jobs, but how much stuff is going right through our fingertips? It's gold. It's kind of gone right out the window.
Yeah. So Charlie, you'll love this. So I've got a client, you know who he is, very sophisticated. Um, they now they're using AI on the sales side. That's a whole nother conversation. But they're using AI on the front end for those phone calls. So the AI is listening to both sides of the conversation, and in real time, is delivering the right thing to say in the script. And you've got companies that are competing against this company that are out there in the marketplace. How are you going to compete when it's, well, we'll just come out between this time and that time to give you an estimate? No building value, no selling the appointment, nothing. And then you've got this other company that's all about the building the value. We're going to set a time to be there, and we are going to be there at 2 o'clock, or we're going to be there at 6 o'clock. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And it's shocking to me, the disparity. But when you look at the disparity in profitability, 40+% of the people, according to a survey done by Dave Yoho, we've talked about it before, 40+% of companies surveyed had a net pre-tax profit of 3% or less.
Yeah.
I mean, you do $5 million a year in business, you do whatever that is, 500 jobs, 400 jobs, and you net $150,000.
Yeah, and sometimes that 150 is actually not what they net; it's what the owner's taking out of the
Exactly,
business, right?
exactly, right.
So it's not really even a net. They're not really making money. The owner just provided a job for himself with a lot
Yeah.
more liability and responsibility.
Yeah. Well, that's your big lesson number one in your book, is by the numbers.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think everybody, if you are in the home improvement business, and you don't have this book, this is like step by step, 10 lessons of this is how you run a home improvement business. So starting with by the numbers, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that whole chapter came out of my personal experience of starting a contracting company, and knowing how to do the work, knowing about the product, knowing how to install it, thinking I know how to sell it, and thinking I knew how to generate leads, but never really thinking much about the numbers of the business, key indicators, and never really having financial statements. Never really even knowing for the first 10 years if I was making money or not. I mean, could I take money home? Could I pay my bills at home? I use the term checkbook balance management, because I kind of made decisions day to day, week to week, month to month, based upon how much money was in the checking book. And I never really knew if I was making money, and if so, how much. And as a result, I wasn't making money, and a lot of opportunities went through my fingers, and I squandered a lot of time. I mean, probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And had I been doing in the first 10 years what I learned how to do, and started doing at the beginning of the second 10 years, I mean, who knows how many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars that would have meant to me, and how much further that would have accelerated my growth, and made a difference for my business, but also made a difference for me and my family personally.
Yeah.
No,
Why do we find it? Why do we as business owners, why is the tracking and the measuring and understanding of the numbers so far down the list of things that we think we need to get right?
Yeah, I don't know. In retrospect, it baffles me, but back then I just think we're so intent on living to fight another day and just
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
selling the job. I think most people equate sales with success, right? So if we're selling jobs, things must be good, and if we're not selling jobs, things must be bad. But knowing, are we selling the jobs at the right price, knowing what the right price to sell is. There's this other thing that people think, well, there's a price or a rate in our market, and you got to be in that going range, or you're never going to be successful. And the reality of it is, people that know their numbers are oblivious to that, and they just, this is the price I got to sell it for,
Right.
and we go out there and sell it. But those other people don't know what they need to sell it for, and that's kind of where I was during those first 10 years. But when you realize too, it's not what the price you have to sell it for is a byproduct of your cost of goods sold, which is the material and labor and commissions that go into the job. But then what's left over is your gross profit. But everything's a factor of time. So the gross profit that you make in a 30-day period has to be equal to or greater than the overhead to run the business in that 30-day period. If it's even, you break even. If it's less, you lose money. If it's greater, you make money. And people don't get that. They don't get the overhead part of it, and the fixed expenses that go into the business. And then knowing that you gotta sell enough work at the right gross profit that you can sell it and produce it in that 30-day period, or that quarterly period, or that annual period, to make money. And people just don't have their eye on the ball. They're too busy trying to generate a lead and sell a job and produce a job, and they don't really focus on the most important part of it is, which is being profitable, and knowing the price structure you got to sell at to be profitable.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people, even when they're confronted with the evidence, they deny it.
Yeah.
They try to make up some alibi or some excuse, but it's the numbers are irrefutable.
Yeah. It's also, I think, a big question of value. Like, I think that a lot of business owners don't understand, or they underestimate the value that they provide to the marketplace. As entrepreneurs, we're basically solving problems for profit. And if you're out there improving somebody's home, first off, it is one of the hardest jobs out there. I mean, you would talk about window replacements and get it in and out in a day or 2 days at the most. But that is a difficult job. There are so many moving parts. You got to get the old window out properly so you don't break a whole bunch of crap. You got to get the window in the right way. You've got to seal it the right way. You got to make sure you stay clean. I mean, there's so many parts of this that are underestimated in terms of value. And I think that a lot of business owners think, well, I can't get that much. Well, then make yourself more valuable. But they don't know how. And my contention is, if you do what you say you're going to do, and you do it on time, and you do it within budget, you've got that alone is value. Add to that, you've got a real office, you've got somebody there that's going to answer the phone and answer issues. And anyway, I can go down the whole list.
Yeah.
It becomes a value proposition too. First, though, in the head of the owner is like, I am a valuable part of my community. I deserve to make a profit. And at some point, they need to make the decision that I'm going to pick up a book. I don't think there's any excuses anymore. I mean, there's stuff on flipping YouTube that you can go and look at for free. You can come to Accelerate Live, spend a ridiculously cheap amount of money for 2 days to listen to you talk about how to structure your business for success. And listen to Scott Berman, Mark Curry, Johnny, all my speakers at Accelerate, and learn the structure and the things. And you're right, even people that are brought to it will come up with, as you said, I like that. You said they'll come up with an alibi or an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in denial. They're denying
Yeah.
what's obvious, and it's unfortunate, but it's definitely something that I think prevails for a large part in the home improvement business and the remodeling business.
Let's pause here for a quick break. It's that time again. We're calling all the top home improvement business owners from around North America to join us at Accelerate Live 2024, happening in Orlando, Florida on February 6th and 7th. Start 2024 with the tools, resources, and relationships you need to have your best year yet. You know I'll only bring you the best speakers with the most up-to-date strategies and tactics, so you won't be stuck having to figure it all out on your own in 2024. Regardless of your current level of income, if you are really serious about accelerating your success, your wealth, and your freedom, there is one event you can't miss: Accelerate Live 2024. Discounted pricing is available for a limited time, so if you want to save big and secure your spot, go to www.accelerateevent.com. That's www.accelerateevent.com. Make sure to enter coupon code WEALTHY24 at checkout to lock in the lowest price. Don't put this off until tomorrow. This event is sold out in each of the last 4 years, so grab your seat today. Remember, this event is 100% guaranteed to be profitable for you on day one. Or not only do you get your money back, you'll get $1,000 in cash. So don't wait, go to www.accelerateevent.com and secure your spot today. Now back to this week's episode.
People know the tricks of the trade. You know, everybody, or what's the old saying, everybody wants to learn the tricks of the trade, but no one wants to learn the trade.
Yeah.
And the trade is how to make money, you know, how to monetize the business that we have. You know, the other thing too is that I think in most of these businesses, there's an inordinate amount of focus on the tangible product that we sell. I don't care if it's roofing, siding, kitchen cabinets, windows, doors, you know, you pick, you know, gutter guards, you pick the product. And because it's tangible, people can touch it, and we can talk about why this is better than that or whatever. But the thing is, you know, the things we're selling are not on a shelf in a warehouse, and people just pull up and say, I want that, and then they put it in their car and they take it home and they plug it in or turn it on or whatever. Because the things that we sell are really dreams. They don't exist until we get involved, give the customer the benefit of our knowledge and expertise. And then we got to go out and build that dream. We got to make that dream happen. And too many people focus on the tangible, and they don't focus on the non-tangible part of the transaction. And that's contractors that are selling it and homeowners that are buying it. And I think one way to really build that value that you talked about is for contractors to be more aware of the non-tangible part of the job.
Yeah.
And that's the expertise, the knowledge, the design, the measuring, the facilitating, having the right people in the right place to produce the job, get it done in a timely manner, not destroy the property, leave it at least as clean as we found it, and have it be a great experience for the customer. And that's the thing that, I mean, most good contractors do that, but I don't think they emphasize that or focus on that or put value into that.
Yeah.
And so the homeowner assumes, well, a roof is a roof is a roof, and a window is a window is a window, and we as contractors fall into that. So what do? Then we wind up competing on price.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a slippery slope, and it's a very quick spiral down.
Well, and the ironic thing is that when you're competing on price, and it's, you know, it's all about the money, it's all about the price, what ends up happening is you don't have enough money to do all of the things that you need to do in order to be a valuable service provider. And then you start to become the contractor that everybody's talking crap about. because you can't get there on time. You can't be your word because you're so busy chasing after the next dollar so that you could pay this bill so that they'll release your windows so you can go install this job so you can make payroll on Friday. So now it's not about the customer anymore. Now it's all about, shit, I need to get, however many dollars in here just so I can make payroll, just so, like you said earlier, fight to live, live to fight another day. But charge more, make the money you need to make, put the people in place that you need, put the processes in place, and make money with what you're doing.
Yeah. That's unfortunately what happens. And I've seen some people that, have, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They've gone bankrupt. They and a lot of people, when a company goes down, a lot of other people go down. Employees go down, their families, suppliers, vendors, and and I've actually had a competitor in my marketplace that did that, and then they resurrected themselves, and they went back into business, and they duplicated all the same things again. It's like hitting your thumb with a hammer once, okay, but I don't have to keep doing it to know that it hurts. It's painful.
Charlie, is it in Lessons Learned or Build It to Last when you actually listed out all of your competitors from 10 years ago or 12 years ago?
It's in Lessons Learned.
Lessons Learned. I remember, Orange County Register, you and I have talked about this, the Orange County Register, every Saturday in the home and garden section, it was 80% windows. At least that's how it seemed. And it was pages and pages and pages. Yeah. And here they are. All the companies that Charlie competed against, gone.
I believe there's 35 companies listed there.
Yeah.
And these were all companies that, I competed with in 2008.
Yeah.
In that time range. Now recession came, and then, not everybody made it out of the recession. But even those that made it out of the recession, now here we are 15 years later, 35 companies that are gone.
Gone.
I mean, that's at least 35 owners. Maybe there were multiple owners. That's 35 families.
Yeah.
How about all the employees? And how about, and I mean, so that 35 probably equals, 150, 250 families or more.
Yeah.
Plus the vendors and suppliers. And then here's the other thing. What about all the homeowners that bought jobs from those companies?
Yeah.
This past winter, we had like 100-year rains, and I know there were windows and doors all over Orange County leaking. And what do you do when you call that company that, sold you a job in 2009 or 2012? And we're sorry, the number you called is no longer in service, and what do you do?
Terrible. Yeah, terrible.
So I mean, and I can tell you that every one of those companies, there was a couple of companies that were, they kind of knew how to run a business. They went out of business for other reasons, but every one of them there, I was more expensive than every one of those companies.
I was just going to say it couldn't be about price because the one that survived was the most expensive of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There might be a connection there. There might be a connection there.
It might be. Yeah. So it's a shame, but people went out of business, and I knew some people, and they moved out of the area. They were embarrassed, whatever. There's every situation has a different story, but one of them, a union guy, came in and got into the business, and when that added cost of overhead that the union added, they couldn't afford to stay in business.
Yeah.
So, but most of them, it was just all price, and secondarily too, I think a lot of it was they weren't. In chapter 3 in the book, I talk about the most essential part of the business is marketing.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies were not really good marketers.
Yeah.
I mean, they ran ads and they generated leads, but they weren't really good. Marketing is more than just that, and marketing is picking your place in the market and dominating that place in the market. And a lot of them weren't really good at that either. So
Yeah.
again, they were just focused on generating a lead, selling the job, and didn't know the numbers of the business. And you lose a little bit on every job. Eventually, it catches up to you.
It catches up. Yeah. Well, and again, it's, there's some sloppiness there. And, I say it all the time, your book is a practical, kind of a how to, with these 10 lessons. My 7 Secrets book is really about the thinking and the mindsets
Why?
to be successful in business.
Yeah.
And you need both. And I think a lot of people are looking for the strategies and tactics, and they're looking for an easy button. But knowing you for as long as I've known you, one thing that I know about you is you've never, ever stopped learning, including right now, when you teach all of this and you teach people how to be successful, but you're still a great student. And I think that owners need to get out of the grind of the business, going and installing, selling, and they need to go lock themselves away somewhere and go learn about business. And I really think it's like 90% mindset and it's 10% skill set. And I've watched it. I've seen you do this. And I've seen all of you guys do this. I did it. I had to change what was going on up here to go from being broke and losing everything and not running a good business to, okay, well, now what do I need to do it the right way? Somebody asked me yesterday, well, what was the difference? You were bankrupt in 2010, and then you built this company and you became whatever you became. And so what's the difference? And I said, it was a very simplistic answer, but it was, well, I learned, you learn 2 sides. You learn what the right things are to do, and you learn the wrong things there are to do, and the degree to which you can compensate for those. And instead of doing the wrong things, try and do the right things and learn from others that are doing the right things. That's how you go and you do it.
Yeah,
it was a simplistic answer because, quite frankly, I didn't want to go into the real answer, but which was not being sloppy, knowing all the numbers and blah, blah, all the things you talk about in your book, all the things I talk about in 7 Secrets.
Yeah, I think if you live forever, maybe eventually you figure it all out, right?
Yeah.
But none of us live forever, and so if we can compress our learning curves and learn lessons quicker, easier, smarter, and the one way to do that is learn from other people's experiences, and and that's reading books, it's going to seminars, it's listening to podcasts, it's doing all of that stuff. But I said it accelerate, and I've said this numerous times since then in conversations with people. And I don't know that I have any superpowers, but if I do have a superpower, it's implementation. So we can listen to podcasts, we can read books, we can go to seminars and conferences. But a lot of people do that, and it's like just by going there, like something's going to happen to you. Well, it doesn't work that way. You gotta put stuff into action. You got to take action. You have to implement.
Yeah.
And some people also, I think they wait till it's all figured out. They wait till they get it perfect. And the most important thing is not to get it perfect. The most important thing is just to get it going.
Right.
And then learning along the way, and being totally immersed in what you're doing, and look at the feedback you get, and then not try to fight it, but tweak it and refine it. But some people, like I said, I think they think going to a conference or reading a book is going to make a difference. Well, it will if you take the lessons that you learned and you implement them. But if you don't, then they're just lessons. So that's why I think I titled the book "Lessons Learned," not lessons, but lessons learned.
Yeah.
Because if you don't learn them, and learning them means you implemented them, you grew from that. You're not the same person you were before. as you are after. And I mean, that's, I think, how you make progress, and hopefully you compress that learning curve to the point where, you know, you can look back and say, boy, like I say, I'm constantly amazed at how stupid I was. And that includes yesterday, you know, because I do learn every day.
Yeah.
And I got 2 new books here that I'm reading, that I just, you know, one's on marketing and one's on growing the business. And, you know, I might get 10 ideas out of that. I might get 1 idea, you know, and I
Yeah.
use it now to share with other people that I work with, and hopefully be able to pat them on the back and kick them in the butt at the same time.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some fun stuff as we wrap up here. So last week or the week before, if all of you listening go to Charlie's website, his name, charliegindele.com, Gindele.com, and you go to a tab called My Cars, you're going to see some cool stuff there. So since then, have we bought any new cars, Charlie?
Not, well, it's only May 8th. So
Yeah.
no, I haven't bought any in the last 30 days.
30 days. Okay. And the last cars you bought, didn't you buy them as a pair?
I bought 2 of them. Yeah, I bought a 1991 Corvette ZR1 and a 2009 Corvette ZR1, which were, you know, like the high performance
Yes.
versions of a Corvette that they made.
So as we were going through and putting the cars, by the way, guys, go check. He has got the coolest car collection. There's well, you can go there and you can see my favorite. I think my favorite is still the 63 split window Corvette.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to going for a ride when I'm there with you next month. But are you working on, I thought about, I was looking as we were putting the descriptions of the cars. Are you trying to get a Corvette from every generation? Is that what you're working on?
Yeah, I'd like to get one. I don't have a first generation, and I don't have a 5th generation.
Okay.
The 5th generation's easy to get. I mean, they're not that expensive. I just, you know, I have a couple that I would get if I had room to put them in. But
Yeah.
the first generation, you know, which was from 53 to 62, you know, I like the early ones, 53, 54, 55, but then I like the 57, 58, 59.
Yeah.
I'll get one of those, but it's just got to be the right one. And yeah, but ultimately I'd have one from each of the 8 generations of Corvettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now you're only missing 2, though. You're missing 1 and 5.
Yeah, generations 1 and 5. And like I
Yeah.
said, the 5s are easy to get. I could have
Is
one
that,
of
are
those.
those like the 80s, the plastic ones?
They were 97 to 2004.
97 to 2004.
It was
Okay.
it was the last generation that had the flip up headlights.
Oh, okay. All right.
The 6th generation, 7th generation, and 8th generation, you know, the headlights are visible, you know, but
Yeah.
from when they come out with the 2nd generation in 63, which was the first year of the Stingray, from then up till 2005, they all had you know, hidden headlights.
Hidden, yeah.
But yeah, it's so yeah, I want to get one from each generation. I will at some point in time. It's not
Yeah.
I got the ones I wanted to get that are the hardest ones to get, I think, you know,
Yeah.
the ones that I think have the most intrinsic value and will appreciate over time. And to me, they were, you know, part of my life growing up. And
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting about the first generation is that it goes from that. I mean, the 53 was just such a beautiful car. And I mean, the whole generation is, but it got progressively, I don't know how to say it, like tougher, meaner, you know.
Yeah.
So by the time it got to the late 50s, early 60s, it was like the 53, but it was meaner.
well, yeah, the truth be known that, you know, the 53, they made 300 of them and they had trouble selling them.
Yeah.
And after the Second World War, a lot of people came back from the war, and they were in Europe, and Europeans had a lot of small sports cars, right? So
Yeah.
America really didn't have a sports car back then, and so the General Motors came up with that concept, but it was underpowered. It was like 150 horsepower,
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
a 6-cylinder. They called it a Blue Flame engine, and but it was an open top, roadster car. It only came as a roadster, and there wasn't even a hard top for it. It had a canvas top with like windows, like plastic windows you had to snap into place, but
Yeah.
they're, if you get one of those now, one of those first 300 that you can document, I mean, that's probably a $200,000 car.
Yeah. It's beautiful, beautiful machine though.
But they couldn't get, they had trouble giving away early on.
Crazy.
They actually thought that the first ones they made in a hand assembled them in Flint, Michigan, and then they built this factory in St. Louis to kind of mass produce them, right? And the goal was to sell 10,000 a year. But they couldn't sell 10,000 a year for 7 or 8 years. Just
Wow.
there wasn't the demand there. People didn't understand it, and then they start putting bigger engines in them, and they went to the V8, and it became a little more in vogue and a little more aspirational.
Yeah. Did you get the lifts in?
What's that?
The lifts. Did you get the
Yeah.
lifts? Yeah.
I got 4 of them. Yeah.
Oh, you got 4? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's worked out really well.
All right. So do you have room for more now? How many more?
No, I've got 11 here in the worldwide headquarters, and I have 7 at home. So
yeah. So you're going to need either a bigger worldwide headquarters. I think if you do like a museum or something, there's some sort of tax break that you can get. And California, you need every tax break you can get.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. They keep finding ways to take it from us.
Oh God, yes.
So.
All right. Well, Charlie, thank you. And for those of you out there, again, go get Charlie's books, Lessons Learned, and Build It to Last. Go to Amazon and you can get them there. And I guess we'll be talking again soon. Maybe we'll do another little video from the worldwide headquarters when I'm there, or while we're driving around. That might be kind of fun. We'll do a podcast. Hey, we'll do like the Jerry Seinfeld, comedians in cars getting coffee. We'll do contractors in cars getting Fireball.
There you go.
Or Tennessee Fire.
I think
cars getting
that'd be a
Tennessee
winner.
Fire.
That'd be a winner.
That'll be our show.
So.
All right,
Frank.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye now.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. Let me ask you, did it help you look at your business in a different way? Did it spark an idea or ideas that you hadn't thought of before? Do you have a list of action items that you can take and implement into your business or your life today? I really hope so. If it did, I'd like to ask you a favor. Would you leave a 5-star review of the podcast? By doing so, you'll help other contractors find the podcast more easily so that we can help them achieve more success, wealth, and freedom. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to the Wealthy Contractor Podcast so you get access to the latest episodes as soon as they're available. We're always striving to provide you with great content so you don't want to miss what's coming up. In fact, if you haven't already, make sure you go to thewealthycontractor.com and get your free copy of my latest book, The 7 Secrets to Becoming a Wealthy Contractor. Just pay shipping and handling, and I'll take care of the cost of the book. And finally, a big thanks to G4 Marketing for sponsoring the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. For over 12 years now, G4 Marketing has been the secret back office relationship marketing team for hundreds of home improvement and home service businesses just like yours. You get the customer, and our proven system turns that customer into 5-star reviews and profitable repeat and referral business. If your home improvement or home services company completes at least 10 jobs per month, they have a solution that will work for you. To find out more, sign up for your free, no obligation 10-minute discovery call at www.g4marketing.com/strategy. That's GFOUR marketing.com/strategy. Set your discovery call up today, and they'll help you set your business up for long-term profits and success. So until next time, this is Brian Cascavalcio.